Hey everyone, it's Nico. This is IREM Collection 2, which is a collection of 3 retro arcade games. 2 are run-and-gun style games, and the third is a vertical scrolling shoot-'em-up. So we're going to be looking at the package as a whole, and also I'm going to be playing through at least like a level or so of each of the games, try and show off what they have to offer. But first, we're going to look at what the collection as a whole has. So each game has a casual mode or a classic mode, and the classic mode is exactly what it sounds like. It's like the old school style experience, where the casual mode allows you to rewind, use cheats, save states, auto fire, really help to make it a bit more accessible to modern audiences. And then it doesn't have anything like the other in games retro re-releases in terms of like extras, but there's a bunch of settings you can change, tailor the experience to your taste if you want. I chose to just play on the casual mode. I didn't change anything else. I didn't use rewind other than the first game, Air Duel, which we're going to look at here, because I didn't want to, I don't know, I'm not a big rewind person, so I used it here, and I didn't use it in the other games. I just kind of wanted to show it off, so let's take a look at Air Duel. Since all of these are arcade games, they do have, like, you know, you gotta essentially put a quarter in by clicking the left thumbstick in. You know, it took me a little bit to figure out how to actually put a credit in, but we figured it out eventually. So I'm not familiar with any of these 3 IREM games, so this will be my first time playing them, so if you have before, you're going to know more than I do about these. But in Air Duel, you can pick between 2 different planes. One's more of a helicopter and one's more of a plane. And I do actually explore both of the gameplay styles because they do fly a little bit differently, where the plane just shoots straight, and as you move, it'll always shoot straight. The helicopter will shoot like at an angle depending on which direction you're facing, which I didn't like, and we'll get to some of that after we beat this first level. But you know, from what I played, this is a fun little shoot 'em up. It drops power-ups, you move side to side, you'll gain stronger guns for your plane, and if you get hit, it is a one-hit kill, so you do lose all of your power-ups, essentially. There's also like a bomb you can shoot out that will not necessarily clear the screen, but kind of destroy everything in your path, so that's pretty useful. This is just, you know, stand 'em, shoot 'em up fair for the time, and I had fun with it. So I'm just gonna go ahead and let this gameplay roll, and then so also make sure to stick around for the second level if you want to skip ahead and see how the helicopter handles. I'll have some gameplay there, and I'll join back with you when we get to the next game. So the next game we're going to take a look at here is GunForce, and this is a run and gun style game. It reminded me a lot of like Metal Slug or Contra, and what's different here is there's actually not just the arcade version of GunForce, but there's also the Super Nintendo and Super Famicom versions. So we're going to look at both of these. They play very similar. The Super Nintendo version seemed to be a little bit longer and a little bit easier, whereas the arcade version seemed pretty brutal as expected. So that was a common thing with games that were ported from arcades to console, where they would make it less of a quarter muncher, and I think that was always more enjoyable to me. So I had more fun playing the Super Nintendo version of GunForce than I did the arcade version, which I played second. And it's just a run and gun. When you get pickups, you have like a limited amount of ammunition with them. So you can't just hold on to it until you meet your demise, like a Contra game or something like that, which is what I'm most familiar with when it comes to run and guns. So if you die with a power-up, you'll just drop it on the ground and you can pick it back up. But once you deplete the ammunition, you'll go right back to your little pea shooter here. And this was fun. I don't have a whole lot to say about it, so I'm going to go ahead and let the gameplay roll again. And all of these games, I do want to mention before I do that, ran really great. And this is the Switch versions that I'm playing here. I have the IREM Collection on Switch. I played it solely in docked mode, so I'm not sure if that's any different in handheld. But yeah, this was another fun one, so enjoy the gameplay. Next up, we now have the arcade version of GunForce. It is essentially the same game. Like I mentioned when I was talking about the Super Nintendo version, it is a little bit more difficult. It seemed a little bit shorter, like they extended the levels with the console version. And I died a lot more here, even having the knowledge of how to play and how the enemies and things behave from the Super Nintendo version that I played literally minutes before. But, you know, since it's an arcade game, you can just keep popping in those virtual quarters, and it doesn't matter how good you are, you could eventually just get through to the end regardless, because you have infinite quarters. Probably would have cost me quite a few dollars to get through this in the arcades back in the day, but even still, like, it's fun. It's just arcade style games like this can be a bit annoying to me because you don't really have to get good at the game, because without that pressure of having to spend real money like you did in the arcades back in the day, you just could keep popping in those virtual quarters and die hundreds of times and you're still gonna get through the game because you have infinite tries. But either way, like, this was still kind of fun to go through. I did play beyond the first level for this because it was shorter, and I did want to show off something that I didn't already show off when I played through the Super Nintendo version. So, you know, skip ahead to the end there if you want to see, like, the second level or something like that. But for the most part, this is the exact same thing as the Super Nintendo version, just a little bit shorter a little bit more difficult. And lastly, that brings us to our final game, which is GunForce II, or Geostorm. Assuming that that was maybe like a European version or something like that, just a different name. I did play it, and it was exactly the same thing, so kind of cool that they included it. But this is the sequel to the original GunForce. It does play a little bit different. This certainly felt more Metal Slug than Contra to me, and everything just blows up in this. Like, it's incredibly satisfying. You start out like on this train, I believe, and everything you shoot just explodes, and you save these hostages, and you have two guns in your hand, and they shoot kind of at different angles, which took me a little bit of getting used to. There's medals you can collect, which I think affect like your score in some way. And obviously it has the same power-up system, and there's always a lot of enemies coming. This one seemed to be the game that had the most amount of slowdown. I don't know if the arcade original was like that, but it really didn't hurt the game at all. It just felt like that old school style slowdown that was common in games back in the day. And I had a lot of fun blasting through this one, so if I had to kind of crown a winner of the games on this collection, I would definitely say this is the one. And I made sure to save my progress when I was done recording, and I'm going to come back and finish this one up. But GunForce 2 is a lot of fun. It was definitely more varied, and you could tell advanced than the previous two titles. And there's just some really cool stuff, like this here where the plane is, you know, flying beneath me and I got a guy shooting at me, and then there's a part where, you know, it's above you and you have to shoot it down. Just really kind of wacky and off the wall, and those are always elements of games that are really kind of crazy that I enjoy a lot. This game almost felt like a Michael Bay like Metal Slug game. Just literally everything blows up. Everything's an explosion. Everything is destructible pretty much and just explodes. So it's wacky and crazy. So yeah, enjoy the gameplay. So this was the IREM collection, and I had a lot of fun with this. I will say, like, the caveat of these in-game collections is that they don't really include extras in terms of, like, bonus materials. So if you like, you know, documentaries and maybe manual scans and things like that, they don't include any of that stuff, unfortunately. But in terms of, like, visual options and kind of accessibility with the save states and the rewind and the, you know, all the different filters and borders and things like that, like, if that's enough for you, these collections have been a really great way to play some of these classic titles. So this is definitely one worth checking out. All three of these games are a lot of fun. I have never played them before, and I'm happy that I had the opportunity to play them now. And yeah, so this was IREM Collection 2. Check it out on your platform of choice. I appreciate you watching. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you on the next one.